Before I begin, I just want to give a shout out to Joanna. Thank you so much for all your help with my presentation. All right, so good evening. The title of my talk is Your Relatives May Be Crazy, but Crazy is Relative. Why the way we talk about mental illness matters. The theme for tonight's presentations is breaching borders. Tonight, I would like to present my own personal reflections on, sorry, I'm really nervous. Tonight, I would like to present my own personal reflections on the barriers that I believe individuals face when recovering from mental illness. I'm a first-year graduate student. I don't yet have my capstone figured out, but I am passionate about mental illness, and I'm here tonight to share that passion and curiosity with you all. Thanks. So I was inspired by a case study from the book Crazy Like Us, titled The Shifting Mask of Schizophrenia. In this case study, it is discussed how emotional expression can impact the relapse rate for individuals diagnosed with schizophrenia. In particular, individuals from families which were rated as having high expressed emotion had the worst patient outcomes. High expressed emotion can be defined as families in which at least one family member is critical, hostile, or emotionally over-involved. The term emotionally over-involved means that a family member is either overly self-sacrificing for the patient, overprotective, intrusive, or controlling. Because individuals who suffer from schizophrenia already suffer from internal voices which are critical and condemnatory, it is not surprising that these same individuals experience a worsening of symptoms when exposed to a family member who is highly critical and controlling. In particular, families who, I apologize. So I chose to analyze this case study because it resonates with my own experience growing up in a family that was highly impacted by mental illness. I saw from my own experience how emotional over-involvement can lead to problematic dynamics and barriers to recovery. My aunt has struggled for decades with bipolar disorder and chronic pain. Unfortunately, over the decades, her symptoms have gotten worse. My family members have had to manage her financial well-being as well as her overall well-being. My mother is a caretaker by nature. She has done her best to care for my aunt. She remains hopeful that my aunt will overcome her symptoms through an application of personal will. Yet she still remains frustrated by my aunt's illness. She laments often to me that my aunt can seem lazy, messy, and just out of it. She urges my aunt to get out of bed, to clean her house, and to manage her money a little bit better. Although my mother's efforts have been entirely well-intentioned, it is clear that they have not been effective. So this begs the question, where do we go from here? And I challenge you to think about this question. What is the right amount of involvement in the life of someone with a severe mental illness? I must admit, this is not a question I am yet capable of answering. But I will say this. If we want to have better mental illness outcomes in the United States, then we first must get more comfortable discussing the reality that mental illness impacts the majority of us, whether through our own personal experiences or those of someone close to us. Mental illness was never openly discussed in my family, despite the fact that it impacted both my aunt and myself. But talking about mental illness is important because it happens to many of us, and it normalizes an experience that is common to many of us. In fact, according to the NAMI website, 1 in 5 Americans suffers from mental illness. Other estimates suggest that over half of those diagnosed with major depression never seeks services, whether due to self-stigma or fear of what others might think of them for seeing a psychiatrist. I might not be able to fix mental illness, but we can all do our part to become better informed and to advocate for those who have disease. Thank you very much.